Hello again and welcome to Perspectives with Nilo, a regular podcast where we report on news and views from around the world with an Irish perspective. In this episode, I'm interviewed by Gerry Kelly on The Late Lunch Show on LMFM, the award-winning local radio station for counties Louth and Meath. We talk about my recent trip to Taiwan, the atmosphere on the ground in light of recent events, and following on from my previous episode on the Taiwan Celts, we talk about the team's connection with Bohermeen, County Meath.
We're certainly going international now on Late Lunch because I have a young man joining me. His name is Neil O'Sullivan. He's a freelance broadcaster from County Kerry and he's been to Taiwan recently. And you know, Taiwan and the Northeast, there is a big connection, especially with the county of Meath, and we're going to find out all about it now. Neil, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Gerry. Great to be here.
What took you to Taiwan?
I've been going to Taiwan for many years, mostly for work. I lived there between 2018 and 2019, but obviously during COVID, travel was restricted, but recently they opened up again, and I was fortunate to go back in August, partly for a business trip and partly just to kind of revisit old friends and things back there.
It lives in the shadow. It's in the news nearly daily at the minute, living in the shadow of China, who are saber rattling and really say, you know, you belong to us. Do you get that feeling of tension when you're there on the ground at the minute?
No, you don't. I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. It makes it that the news is full of it. But when you're on the ground, I think it's like one of those things that's been going on for a long time. On the ground, people have become somewhat desensitized to it, even though, of course, the Nancy Pelosi visit back in the beginning of August kind of re-escalated everything again. And since then, I think there's been a bit more of that saber rattling and grey warfare by the Chinese Communist Party, and also like a lot of cyber attacks. There was a recent report by that U.S. TV network CBS. They have that 60 Minutes program. They basically said that now China is launching up to 20 million cyber attacks a day on Taiwan, on their infrastructure systems, on personal and social media accounts, and just trying to push propaganda and cause disruption. So it's definitely feeling a bit more on the ground, but overall, when you walk the streets or go out on the countryside, it's fairly relaxed and people aren't talking about it too much.
It's interesting what you say. There are different ways of waging war today without dropping a missile. Unfortunately, what's happening in Ukraine is the total opposite, where there is terrible events going on there and a loss of life. But coming back to Taiwan, a good friend of mine, Father Eamon Sheridan, spent quite a bit of time in Taiwan out there, and I've interviewed him here in the show and spoken to him privately as well. He said it was an amazing country in that you couldn't really fathom the amount of people that live there. There's just very little, what would you say, rural space, a place you can get away from others. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's a small island, by Irish standards. It's about half the size of Ireland, or a little less maybe, and it has a population of about 24 million people. And, it's not a very flat island. It's got a mountainous ridge down the center of it because it sits on the edge of the Pacific, so it's right there on those tectonic plates. And so, it's been pushed up as the tectonic plates have pushed together over thousands and thousands of years. So it's not very flat, but they do have, very nice scenery and mountains there. The cities are pretty crowded. I mean, the main city is Taipei in the north. But still, I think a lot of people that go there and visit, it draws you back. The people are incredibly friendly, welcoming, and humble. It's a very safe place. I mean, it's one of those places like you can walk from one end of Taipei to the other any hour of the day or night, and it's totally safe. And I think all Irish people I met there would say the same, men and women alike. It's incredibly safe. So an incredibly welcoming place, and a lot of people who go there with the intention of a visit or even just staying for a year end up a lot of them they'll stay 5-10 more years. It draws them in and they don't want to leave.
Yeah, I have to say, like yourself, he had a great love for the place and always will have. Now let's come to this connection with the Northeast from Taiwan, because you met people involved with Taiwan Celts GAA Club, and one of its founders was a lad called Gerry Kelly from Bohermeen, who unfortunately lost his life in Taiwan back in October of 1996.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. I spoke to the Taiwan Celts, basically a group of Irish people and local Taiwanese and some other foreigners as well in Taiwan. It was founded in 1995, and they meet twice a week for training in the rugby fields near Taipei City. So I tracked them down and I went there to talk to them on one Tuesday night, and I spoke to a number of people. One of the people I spoke to was a guy called Chris Walsh from Newport, County Mayo, and he told me, the club was founded in 95. It was a group of FOSS graduates who came over from Ireland, and they set up the first Asia GAA club there in Taiwan. And one of those founders was a guy by the name of Gerry Kelly, who came from Bohermeen in County Meath. And Derek and his friends set up this club. And in fact, over a bit of time, they met Irish people from other countries in the Asian region, and they suggested, why don't we set up other GAA clubs in like Japan, Korea, mainland China, Malaysia, and so on. And that happened. And so now you have about 60 or more of these teams, GAA teams in various Asian countries around that region, and they get together every week and train, and then they all come together once a year for an Asia GAA League. And they did that. When I met the Taiwan Celts, that's why they were training actively for this league that was in Kuala Lumpur this year, and it took place there on October 8th and 9th. And they were training to be ready for that. They were fielding a men's team and I think a women's team as well, and they were anxiously preparing for that. But the club, as I said, was founded by Derek, who came from Bohermeen in County Meath, and they told me that they still think of him, and like they had a plan to basically commemorate the 25th anniversary of the founding of the club in 2020, and they were planning to come to Ireland, but because of the COVID pandemic, that wasn't possible. But they were still taking time out to think about him and commemorate his memory at that Gaelic Games in Kuala Lumpur this year, and they still plan to bring a team to Ireland either next year or the year after, hopefully to Bohermeen in County Meath, and basically have a few games there with the local teams and celebrate his memory and his great legacy.
That is fantastic to hear, because he was only a young man starting out in life, 22 years of age, a graduate of DCU, and he was working with Acer Computers in Taipei, as you said at the time, and he was struck by a car as he crossed the street and the driver failed to stop.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very sad story. But the great thing is he leaves a great legacy, because actually, and it's really important, I mean, that he did this, because unfortunately, there's no official Irish government office in Taiwan. There's like no embassy or no trade office. We even don't have a presence in the EU trade office there. So really, this GAA team, they're our ambassadors. They're the ambassadors for Ireland in Taiwan. So I think, big credit to Derek and the other people that founded that club. They're really representing Ireland and in Taiwan. And, they also started that great proliferation of the Irish, of Ireland through those other Asian countries, through the GAA. And the people I spoke to, they tell you of the great pride they feel. Like one girl, Rebecca Nugent, who comes from Kildare, she was telling me the pride she feels when she goes to that Asian Games in Kuala Lumpur, and you see somebody soloing a ball up the field, in Kuala Lumpur, and the pride she feels and the connection with home, to see the Irish Games being played in a foreign country like that. So it's a big thing. It's a big thing for Irish people who are away from home out there.
It certainly is, and it is, as you say, testament to Derek and his being there at the start of this. When you think of it, how it's mushroomed and grown all over Asia. The other thing is, I noticed that you spoke to other people from a guy there, Ling from Chile, Prentice from Hong Kong. There are many locals, if you like to say, over there who are now playing Gaelic games.
Absolutely, and particularly so in Taiwan. I think, there may be more Irish people in the other, like Hong Kong and mainland China and so on, but in Taiwan it's a smaller Irish community, and therefore they rely on other nationalities and to draw them in to play the Irish games. And many of them, like Prentice from Hong Kong, he never heard about Irish football before, but he was delighted to get involved with this group and play the Gaelic football. And I said, why do you like it? And he said he really loves the excitement around it, and he really loves the teamwork. He said, it's a game that really relies on good teamwork, and he really likes that and appreciates that. And the same with Ling, who's from Chile. Again, she loves the camaraderie, the crack. You have these foreigners picking up all these the Irish lingo, and they enjoy that, the relaxed atmosphere, and of course the exercise and camaraderie as well. It's great in that it brings all these other nationalities in, gives them a view of Ireland that they otherwise wouldn't have, and gets them involved with the team, and they play and put together a team, and they can compete then in these Asia leagues.
You've put together a little package, I know, on this about the Taiwan Celts. Have you podcasted, or is it available anywhere?
I haven't podcasted yet. That's something I do plan to do, yes. Gerry. I haven't just got around to putting the site up, but I think, I've tried to share it out, with as many stations that would be interested in broadcasting it, because I think it's a really interesting story, and I think it's, Taiwan is a great country, and I think it would be great if we could have, good connections between Ireland and Taiwan. I think we would benefit as a country from that, by learning from them, and they would obviously benefit from the connection with us. It's kind of interesting when you walk through the supermarket. As I said, I lived in Taiwan for over a year. When you walk through the supermarkets in Taiwan, one of the things that surprised me, as an Irish person abroad, you're always looking for those Irish products. Like as a Kerry man, I'd always be looking for the Kerry Gold. You might be looking for Rose's chocolates, but I'd be looking for the Kerry Gold butter. But what I noticed walking through the supermarkets over there in Taiwan, you'd see lots of, French butter or German butter or, Spanish pasta. Lots of other European countries have products on the shelves there, but Ireland, there's nothing. You might see Baileys, but that's about it. There's nothing. And I think all these other, there's 17 other European countries who have a presence in Taiwan through that European trade office. But Ireland, we have nothing there. And I think, isn't it a shame? We have such great products. We could be availing of that market there. There's 24 million people in that market, and most of them are well-to-do, and I'm sure they would love to know more about Ireland, buy our products, and even come here to visit. And so this is one of the things I think that's great about the GAA club over there, is that they're doing their bit to promote that connection. And I think, I'm so happy that I can support them and get the message out.
Yes, I think they'll have to build a new plant, Kerrygold I'm talking about, to produce the butter if they make the breakthrough into the Taiwanese market, because they will. You're right, they will love it so much. Listen, I may be able to help you with that podcast there. Leave it with me, and I'll be back to you on that one. But look, it was lovely talking to you today, and you're great to remember a man from the Northeast this afternoon, and we mentioned him again, Derek Brady, who was part and parcel of getting everything going over there. Thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you very much, Gerry, for having me. Thank you.
Take care of yourself. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. And there you are. Isn't it amazing, the connections in life? That's Neil O'Sullivan there, who was out in Taiwan and has a feature on the Taiwan Celts GAA Club.
And that's my interview with Gerry Kelly on the Late Lunch Show, which took place back on November 3rd. My thanks to Gerry and LMFM for hosting me on the show. And if you'd like to hear more from the Taiwan Celts, be sure to check out the previous episode of this podcast. You can also find this and all past episodes on my blog at pwneilo.com. That's pwneilo.com. We're also on Spotify, iTunes, Instagram and Twitter. Until the next time, thank you for listening. Slán agus beannacht.